It's often said that witches are not made, they are born. From an early age, they represent the signs of witchery, from having wild and crazy hair to snazzy makeup and clothing to a boisterous personality, coupled with a warm and inviting spirit. They tend to be night owls with an affinity towards the moon, the rivers, and of course, the cemeteries. Witches may create a facade to cover up their own insecurities or internal pain. In many cases, witches are the champions fighting for the oppressed and downtrodden and risking their own lives and well-being to help and heal others. The path to witchery and becoming a brujo is hard, full of letdowns and heartbreaks, but worth it if a witch can emerge victorious. At least that was the case for Lafayette Reynolds, the only male witch on HBO's hit series True Blood. Throughout all 7 seasons, Lafayette was beaten and battered, only to emerge victorious in the end. In fact, he went from being a true diva to slaying his demons and coming into his own as a medium and as a mother brujo. So in this video, I'm going to break down Lafayette's journey from diva to demon slayer to brujo, so please stay tuned.
How did he get here? I'm not it. He's a medium.
Really?
But what I don't get is how you can risk my life just to prove your point.
The only downfall about watching characters on TV is that you really can't hear their thoughts. I know there are voiceovers, but for the most part, we, the audience, don't know what the heck they're thinking. That's why writers of popular television shows will create a nemesis or an arch enemy or a protagonist. In many cases, these characters represent the main character's flaws or their worst fears unrealized. Naturally, this was the case with Lafayette and Marnie from True Blood Season 4.
Me? What you want me for?
Now, Marnie is a docile witch whose only real friend was a caged bird, and she comes into insurmountable power when an ancient spirit named Antonia mounts her. Suddenly, this doormat Wiccan is not only able to command space, but she's also able to hex and vex vampires and witches alike.
He attacked us, unprovoked. He came in here uninvited, and he demanded that we stop gathering, stop practicing our religion.
Last time I checked, there was still freedom of religion in America.
She did this by turning Eric into her little minion, pitting him against King Bill, and almost killing him in the process. She placed a rotting spell on Pam, Eric's progeny, and gets a vampire sheriff to turn on his own people. Now, Marnie believes that she is seeking revenge. After all, the beef between vampires and witches runs deep. Vampires have maimed and burned witches throughout history. And witches, well, they use their sorcery to make evil vampires meet the sun.
One of your own, Sheriff Eric Northman, was sent to break up a group of Wiccan practitioners and has not been seen since.
Ooh, witches. Yikes.
You think witches are to be laughed at?
Ironically, witches seem to be the only supernatural creatures on True Blood that can go head-to-head with vampires. But that's another topic for another video. For now, I want you to understand how important it is to understand Marnie's story as a cautionary tale. Her story is really about how energy can turn dark, and how we as people can have the best intentions, but if we harbor hatred, envy, and even fear, we can wreak havoc on our own lives and others.
He's a human body.
This is where you lose.
Now, Jesus, Lafayette's boyfriend, understood that power was one hell of a drug. After all, we, the audience, witnessed him grow up with his crazy-ass abuelo, a magician of dark arts. Jesus remembers his grandfather egging him on to take on the powers of the dark side by teaching him blood magic.
When I licked that knife, Lafayette, I felt something inside of me that I have never felt before. And I haven't felt it since. It was power, a force, and it was incredible.
Jesus had fought long and hard to embrace magic without selling his soul. But when Marnie goes to the dark side, Jesus learns that he must fight fire with fire. Jesus must tap into his ancestral powers and use their magic to break the bonding spell between Marnie and Antonia. You see, the one thing that you have to understand about becoming a brujo is that there is different types of magic. And no, I'm not talking about black magic and white magic. I'm talking about the power that witches use to actually fuel their spells.
We're part of the circle that made this happen. We might have a chance of reversing the spell he's under.
Are you a witch?
I'm a brujo.
Marnie was a Wiccan and she used ancient Latin spells until she was possessed by Antonio. Once possessed by this spirit, Marnie became incredibly powerful. Jesus also becomes powerful when he taps into his ancestral lineage. While Marnie can harbor the power of just one spirit, Jesus can harness the power of his entire ancestral bloodline. He uses this magic to break the force field around the goddess Emporium.
You galloped in and saved some folks tonight. Never forget that.
And again to break the bonding spell between Antonia and Marnie, while Marnie is Lafayette's worst fear unrealized. Jesus is the person that Lafayette aspires to become. Jesus, unlike Marnie, isn't seduced by power, and much like his ancestors, he uses his gifts to help and heal people. Jesus works to show Lafayette his real power as a medium and how he can use the gift to help and heal his loved ones. You can say that Jesus is kind of the Yoda of True Blood. Marnie is, of course, Darth Vader, and the Abuelo is the Dark Emperor, preaching about the power of the dark side. Jesus, on the other hand, is Lafayette's mentor and guide, showering him with love and helping him to explore his true potential. More importantly, Jesus is helping Lafayette overcome his own inner demons and shortcomings, so to speak. This includes his own thoughts of worthlessness and shame and unworthiness. Lafayette, much like many other witches, must go through a rite of passage. It is a journey of love and loss and pain and pleasure. It involves a hefty sacrifice where Lafayette must destroy the one thing that he loves the most. And he has to unalive Jesus to gain this power. Now stricken by grief, Lafayette is tested by the old brujo. The old brujo wants him to turn dark. He wants him to succumb to evil. He wants him to succumb to his own inner demons, much like Marnie did.
So that is it? A single vampire dies 4 centuries ago. All vampires within 20 miles burned.
But no, Lafayette realizes that Jesus is now a part of him. Jesus isn't just a spirit, but a powerful force in his ancestral line that he can call upon at any time. And with that, Lafayette becomes a brujo, without turning bad, without selling his soul, and without losing his mind. So what do you think about Lafayette and Jesus as a power witchy couple? What do you think about Lafayette becoming a brujo? What do you think about the power of the dark side? Please sound off in the comments below.